Somebody
It's
was
always the
using
witchers.
like a real sharp object, a real knife, and somebody actually got stabbed because they
Don't
got
do
too
that.
excited.
So that
We,
they
we
have
come
devils.
from a land that has no limits and no law in nature. With predators, the eyes of the skull in the skull of a predator are always located in the front of the skull, whereas the herbivores have eyes on the side. So from an evolutionary standpoint, when a lot of people look at us, we feel like a lot of predators are looking at us, and we feel by proxy threatened.
Failure is always the first step to embracing it and doing it even better the next time. So don't be scared to fail.
Hi guys, so I'm Penumbra, and
I'm Pandora.
I have been a cosplayer for 14 years, which is a lot. We are both from Bulgaria. You have been cosplaying. I'm your senior, right?
So it's a pleasure to have you guys here. Thank you for attending our presentation. It's nice to see you all. As Penumbra said, we are from Bulgaria. She is my senior. I have been a cosplayer for 12 years, but still Penumbra has surpassed me and many other Bulgarian cosplayers in many different areas in the cosplay art, and we are now here to pass on what we have learned, not only in Bulgaria, but in different countries that we have gone to represent our homeland. So thank you again for being here. So personally, I am much more oriented when it comes to seeing presentation and how you behave on stage. As a judge of the past 5 years, this has been my speciality. So it is an honor to be here to teach you guys, together with Penumbra, what we can pass on to you. So yeah, thank you.
This is a presentation that's going to be mostly stage-oriented. However, we are going to mention some additional techniques that can be useful for social media platforms, as both of us have TikTok accounts in different on different topics. So I think those could be useful as well. So the focus of this presentation is how to craft a performance that shows the best of the character and is also captivating for the audience. And for the beginning of the presentation, we are going to start with the very basics. Even though they are well known, I think they should be covered. All of the photos that you will see in this presentation are from our local Bulgarian cosplayers on stage. Our biggest convention has maybe over 80 contestants each day, so that's like 160 each day. So we have a lot of stage content, so we'd like to show them to you. And if actually you like somebody's cosplay on the screen, you can ask us later and we can give you the socials. So the very basics, we are going to start with the types of performance, the different genres that you can have on stage. You have the drama, which relies on invoking strong emotion. This, in my opinion, is the hardest one to do. This is why I avoid it, because you need to, in the very, very short time that you have on stage, you need to move the audience in such a way that you have to make those people who may or may not have watched the source material care about those characters. The tone is serious, and we are focusing on the interaction between the characters, on their emotional state, and you're trying to project said emotion onto the audience.
Something that is very, very important when it comes to drama performance, you have to be 110% in. You cannot half make it. It shows on stage. People can tell if you're uncertain about your actions. You have to be well aware not only of your character, their personality, and how they're acting on stage, but you have to act it out yourself. If you feel shy because your personality is different from the character, it can be seen. That's why you have to be fully invested. Like either you're all the way in, or you just kind of maybe can go to a comedy or something else, because drama is very similar to fighting, but we'll also get to that stage. So,
yeah, speaking of fighting, we have the action one that is focused on the dynamics. So action in cosplay is most often fighting choreography, which again is quite a difficult field because as with the drama, as Pandora said, you cannot half-ass it. You have to really commit to it. You have to really work on movements. And we're going to mention this a bit later, but for instance, if you're using props such as weapons, you need to know how the weapon works. If you have characters with martial arts, you need to have some basic background, even if you haven't studied martial arts in particular. It's good to just research. I'm not talking just about YouTube research, but go to somebody who can actually see how your body is moving, and that can give you professional feedback for that.
Something very important. When it comes to fighting, you guys always have to rehearse it. Of course, don't overdo it, because we did have a situation at Comic-Con with two guys who really went into it, and one of them ended up with a concussion. That's not the point of the performance. You guys have to be in it, but you have to rehearse it so that it's safe. Again, fighting together with drama, it can come across as unfinished if it's not perfected. And that's why those two genres are the most difficult to pull off on stage, because everything can be seen the same way that you watch a movie and you can say, oh, this actor is convincing, or they're not convincing. And you have, compared to a movie that is hours long, you only have 1 to 2 minute stops to convince not just the audience, but the judges as well, that your performance is the character that you're cosplaying.
I have an alarming story from the Bulgarian community about the fighting choreography. Back in the day, that was before you and I were ever on stage. It was the older generation. They were very committed, and they had like a knife fight on stage. They had a Witcher type of skit, and somebody was using like a real sharp object, a real knife, and somebody actually got stabbed because they got too excited, and they. So,
oh my god! Yeah, this is similar to how some cosplayers want to bring their dogs when they're cosplaying Mononoke. So that
we come from a land that has no limits and no law, and it shouldn't be like that. We are not very proud of it, but it is what it is. So stay safe.
Yeah, please don't overdo it. The thing is, the Bulgarian cosplay community, we do not shy away from challenges. Like, everyone is extremely open, and they're like, oh, we're going all in. You know, we're just going to do it. No one is really shy when it comes to the performance. As you can see from the pictures, everyone is extremely expressionate about it. So, yeah, please stay safe. Do not bring sharp objects.
Then we have the comedy genre. This one, to me, is the safest, the most beginner-friendly one, because even if you mess up on stage, chances are people aren't going to notice. You can just say that it was supposed to happen. But again, for comedy to work, you have different types of comedy. You can have slapstick comedy, which is, you know, the Charlie Chaplin stuff. So you have to rely a lot on body movement, on facial expressions. You have to do the funny walk. But then you have dialogue-based comedy. You can technically do stand-up if you'd like. It depends on the format of the show. Some people can just prefer to have like stage dialogue. Some of them have it pre-recorded. But there's like a plethora of ways you can utilize comedy. You can also mix it up. Yeah, got it.
Something very important, you guys should not count on inside jokes from the fandom. You should always go on stage thinking people who are in front of you, they don't know the fandom. Even if it's Marvel, even if it's anyone else. For example, you see Ronald McDonald, right? You can see him on stage basically making fun of the KFC guy. The point is, on the performance, at no point did Ronald McDonald say, hey, I'm from McDonald's, I love cheeseburger, nothing like this. like you have to be fully the authentic self. You don't have to spell it out for the audience, but you really don't have to dive all the way in when it comes to the lore that you love so much. You have to make it, like, the performance shouldn't be simple, but it should be widely, like, this is what makes a memorable performance. Don't count on like super deep inside joke stuff, because it's not gonna land, like at least not with everyone, and that's going to cost you losing people that could have either made an impression of you, be it the judges, be it the audience who want to follow you on social media, and so on.
That's my favorite. That's the musical routine.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah, the Mad Moxie one is me from years ago. This one is very heavily reliant on lip syncing, so if you mess up the lip syncing, it's over. But if you don't, you can have like a very impactful, energetic performance. It is also pretty much rhythm based, so you know, I feel like it's also quite beginner friendly, because using a musical number that is already established, like in musical theater, you have a lot of references you can take as a base and then build on top of that. So my personal favorites are the comedy and the musical one, and also you have the mixed one, which can have both. You can have comedy musical, you can have comedy with a touch of drama and have like contrast, so you can take the audience for a roller coaster ride.
See it kind of like a level up of a game. Drama and action will always be more difficult, but that doesn't mean that it cannot be accomplished with enough rehearsals. If you guys want something that is beginner friendly and also memorable, go for comedy, go for musical, do something that would make people laugh. Something that is always, and it's always going to leave an impression, is a good laugh. People love to laugh, and with our experience, especially like from what I've seen on stage, people will always go for something that has made them feel more positive. And while the drama and action is a 50-50, compared if you can pull it off and convince them, this is what's going to be a bit more difficult of a task. So if you are up for the challenge yourself, rehearse. You can absolutely do it, but you have to be certain of what you're doing on stage. People can always tell if you don't know your place on stage. But yeah, comedy, as Penumbra said, is a very safe bet. People will recognize it instantly, and it's a much safer association, even when it comes to the topic of like rewards and everything, because you can win an award for like an audience favorite, and that can be easily achieved if you make them laugh. Okay, so we are moving on to the, we are moving back to the theatrical versus cinematic performance. As you can see, there are 3 different categories. That is the theater acting, the film acting, and the cosplay acting. As I mentioned before, you guys, it's not like you have pulled the short end of the stick, no pun intended, considering we have 1 to 2 minutes on stage to convince not just the judges, but the audience that our performance is worthy, because after all, the pre-judging is for that, for your costumes to be judged. When you're on stage, your main job is to convince everyone that you know what you're doing. So you have to figure out, after boiling down, what your character's personality is. If they're a shooter, if they're like more introverted, more discreet, how they're acting on stage, not to over-exaggerate what they have already been set as an example. You probably already know that, considering that, you know, you have seen them acted out in the franchise that you like. But the challenge is bringing it up on stage without feeling too overwhelmed, which we will also cover later on in the presentation, because I can imagine that some of you may feel anxious or a little bit panicked to get out in front of a big crowd. So when it comes, and here, by the way, we can open a nice little bracket when it comes to social media acting and what you're posting, especially when it comes to TikTok. Again, the rule, you're either fully in or you're not, absolutely applies. If you do not do it, the simplest way that I can say this is it can come across as cringe, and we don't want that. People respect the full extreme of being that dedicated to showing your art versus being like, should I really act it out? Should I do? No. You either are fully in or not. The internet is going to think what they want to think. What's important is that you embrace what you love and you do it to 110%. So as you can see, like the theater art acting is very grotesque. It can be extremely like expressive, and it has very clear silhouettes of what can be accomplished. But again, the duration of performance can create a build-up that we have to minimize in our cosplay performance. So the best thing to do is to not only, it's a mix of both, really. Both of the film acting and theatrical acting, because otherwise it's going to feel like it's lacking. The best formula for all of this is to get to know your character, to always rehearse. Because if you don't rehearse, people will know. If it's a comedy show, though, you can save it. It doesn't matter because people, like, it is what you show. But ultimately, it's the... I'm trying to word it because I have a lot of my mind that I want to say. It's the moment that you're able to conceal and show to everyone. Just like I am right now with Penumbra. It's not like we're acting out in front of you guys, even though you will see one of our performances for which we have gotten awards. You have to be certain of what you want to show and not waste the time that you have. For example, if you have like any props, again, this is something that we're going to cover in a little bit later, you have to utilize them. Imagine like if I have the mic now, right? And then I don't have it. What's the point of me holding it and like even having it around me if I don't utilize it? The same goes for the performance. Anything that you can cover that can make an impression, be it if it's more personalized when it comes to the way you move, the way you talk, the way, if you decide to talk, the way you perform and the media that you've chosen to cover, this is the impression that is going to be left. So, yes.
There's also different types of performance by format. Also sort of self-explanatory. You have the solo and you have group or duo. And the core difference is, I mean, there's a few of them. When you're a solo performer, you don't have to worry about coordinating with the others. But the con is that all the attention falls on you. And if you have anxiety, this isn't going to help a lot. But it's also a very nice format to hone your own skills and to battle said anxiety that we're going to cover later. So, for instance, last year I participated in ECG, which is an international competition in Paris. And the format of ECG used to be, in order to go to ECG, you have to win a qualifier in your own country. And some qualifiers are won by solo contestants, and some are won by groups. And they used to have two different formats, so just the solos and just the groups with different rankings. But last year they merged them together. And the result was that a solo contestant had to make as much of a show as a group of 3 to 4 people. And this puts a lot of stress on those solo contestants. But in a shocking turn of events, the first place was taken by a solo contestant. So it's not impossible. And it was a person that really utilized their props and it was Galadriel from Lord of the Rings. She had a prop with like a built-in smoke machine and built-in lights, and she had a dramatic Lord of the Rings monologue. And she actually pulled through and was, in fact, more dramatic, more effective than the big ones. So it's a matter of personal preferences, but both have their equal strengths. In a group performance, you don't have to worry about the entire attention being set on you. However, you have to coordinate. Depending on the group, it could get more and more difficult. My personal preference is to cosplay in a duo. with somebody I already have stage chemistry with. Because if there's one person that you can regularly work with, even if you have a few hours to rehearse a thing, you could pull through. My favorite performances are ones that I have made with my WCA stage partner, Zin, which you're going to see later. And most of our performances have been crafted in the span of 2 hours before going on stage. Well, because we know each other, because I know how he acts.
So yeah, this is a huge one, guys. If you meet someone on an event and you're like, yeah, let's cosplay together, do not craft your stage presence like 2 hours before that. They have known each other for a very long time.
But you could if you have a good symbiosis with said person. So it really depends on who you're working with. On the other side of the spectrum, I have been in big groups with people that I barely know, and it has been hell to coordinate. So I avoided by all costs.
How long were I think our duos, we rehearsed them for maybe a week or two before the convention. But this is like hours and hours of rehearsals before the convention. And even at the convention, we did have rehearsals there as well. So...
and you also have division by purpose, which is the casual and the competitive format. Casual format, you do it for fun, you do it for the love of the game. Competitive format really depends on said competition. There are competitions that have 50% like performance versus costume, but there are some events that are very heavily performance oriented, and you have like a much bigger percentage there. Like vice versa, you have ones that don't rely on performance that much. Yeah. And of course, with a competitive format, you usually have like time constraints that you sometimes don't have for the casual ones. At least in Bulgaria, we have casual formats that you can like compete in for a longer period, and you can make a longer skit, and it's easier to establish. Whereas in the competitive one, you have to be like really quick about it, and the audience must understand everything.
Okay, so moving on to the performance components, it is essential when it comes to cosplay that you know how to deliver your acting, as we mentioned in our last slides. By the way, how many of you here think that those are two different cosplayers? Nobody. Still,
okay, it's the same person.
It is the same person, yes, just from different years. But again, he is a very masterful cosplayer. His performances are always very noteworthy, precisely because of how fully invested he is in his acting skills, despite the character that he has chosen. As you can see, two extremely different characters, but still a very different energy on stage, even in the picture itself that is captured. So body language matters. Like, you have to really deliver, and in a single frame, you can see this so beautifully captured. When it comes to the character consistency and the timing, again, I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but those two cannot be accomplished without you rehearsing what you want to accomplish and show to the audience. It is quite essential, and it does show as time builds up and builds on, and you keep on discovering what you're good at, because there are cosplayers who are fantastic in sewing, there are cosplayers who are great at crafting, and others who are just so expression, like theater kids, honestly. This is what you must master no matter what, because while Penumbra did mention that there are different components in different competitions, and what is seen as more doable when it comes to splitting, like, oh, is your costume going to be 50% of what the prejudges are seeing and then the performance, or is it going to be 20-80? You still want to make a lasting impression that will get people to remember you. And again, this is made with a lot of hard work and repetition, both in all areas of the cosplay. So the costume itself, it's all about like mobility and visibility and then durability, especially if you want to make like a costume change on stage. This is a very difficult thing to pull off, especially if you're on your own. So having the possibility of both impressing the judges when they're seeing your costume up close with what you have created and made, and then making it mobile enough to do it on your own and actually switch up, this is very impressive, and it's always going to leave a very long-lasting mark. I have had a costume change on stage once. It was difficult for me. That was back when I was like, I don't know, a third-year cosplayer. Like we still call our cosplayers that are first to third-year baby cosplayers, because they can still look up to someone who is like with a decade of experience and do it and ask for advice. Thank you. So costume changes have always been rather challenging, but if pulled off successfully, thankfully I pulled off mine, because otherwise it would be rather awkward being on stage, stuck in like the first piece of your costume. That's why this is what also makes a big impression on the judges, if you want to pull off something like this. If pulled off successfully, you're golden. No pun intended for the K-pop Demon Hunters reference.
Yeah, but it's not only about the costume change, is it? It's about costume in general. It's about whether you should make the performance suit the costume or make the costume suit the performance. If you have to decide which is the leading one for you. For instance, when I choose a character, sometimes I just choose a character visually. So I see a costume like a character I really like, I want to do it. And after I make the costume, I realize that I can't really move freely in it. And then it's up to me to decide how to sort of compromise with that, so that it doesn't show that I move like a robot. So in this case, if it's a very big costume, then I choose a performance that's more static, but I do a test drive at home. It's very important to test drive your costumes. Don't leave it for last moment, because no matter how much you rehearse in your casual clothing, with cosplay is going to be different. Even if it's not a cosplay that restricts you a lot, like this one, very comfortable, I still feel really weird because there's huge hair on my hair. I have a sclera lens, so my depth of field is a bit different. Like my peripheral vision is a bit distorted. So you have to think how to bypass that. So for big builds, I usually opt for more static performance that relies, say, on if I have a crinoline type of thing and my legs can't move, then I will just crank up the arm action to a maximum so that I can cover like the most space with just the top half of my body. On the other end of the spectrum, you have the case in which you want to make have a very captivating performance, and you want to make the performance no matter what. And in this case, you have to make small tweaks, adjustments to a costume so that it can accommodate that. For instance, we had, like, again, back in the day, the older generation in Bulgaria.
Please don't tell me they pulled out a knife again.
We had an Edward Elric from FMA. It was the cosplayer had a background in gymnastics, and she wanted to do like some acrobatics and the splits, but she had leather pants, which didn't work well with it. And what she did is that she undid the bottom seam of the pants and she inserted like a rhombus of stretch spandex, and that actually ensured the mobility of the legs. So if you have a costume that you can't really do your acrobatics with, there's some ways to make it work regardless, and that's usually like by inserting gussets and maybe detachable parts that can ensure that all your joints are mobile.
Yeah, moving on to the props and decor, there is like a different example that comes to mind. Guys, if you create a prop, you show it to the judges, and it's, let's say, as a judge, I have seen a case of the Mandalorian cosplayer. Perfect cosplay, perfect execution, everything's great. But we're 50-50. So 50% the costume is what counts, and then 50% is your performance on stage. This is the quota that I was given. The cosplay itself is amazing, handmade, no 3D prints, and then he made not one, but 3 props, one of which was like lighting up because it was a lightsaber. It was fantastic. I was really excited to see him on stage. And then he went on stage with none of the props, just made a pose and left. And that's what cost him the first place. He was placed second because his performance did not include what he had crafted. If you make props, always utilize them. This is essential, especially if you don't even have to use all 3 in that case. Just one would have been perfectly fine if you could put it in a performance that is like more fight-induced, or you want to strike a warrior pose. Anything to show that you have that and you are not taking away from the cosplay and the character and robbing yourself and your own performance from the props that you have created and have taken the time of your days to put together. When it comes to decor, it's depending if it's mobile or not. We had at this Comic-Con, by the way, one of our winners was from League of Legends, Enchanting Syndra. So she made this huge pot that was with a potion, and she put, because her cosplay wasn't allowing her to move as much. So what she did to make her performance memorable and what got her the award was that her prop, together with her costume, like the pot was moving on its own. It was steaming, and she created the handle to steer while she made like all of the movements that she could make physically in this costume to make it look like she was casting a spell. So you can always, like, if not opt out for such creative props, if you are way too restricted, as Penumbra said, and you cannot actually implement anything to like make your costume stretchy and more mobile, you can always count on a good decor or a prop that can make the impression. At least in Bulgaria, you get an award for like best prop or best decor or favorite of the audience, so on and so forth. Point is, if you've put a lot of effort in what you want to create on stage, it will not go unnoticed, especially if it's utilized correctly. Because imagine if that Syndra cosplayer went on stage and the pot wasn't there. There's not much she can do. Her hat is like 4 or 5 times the size of her head. Aside of spinning around, there is not much she can do. But she found a way around for people not only to remember her, but the judges for her to stand out. So this is what we are trying to communicate with all of you, and how essential it is to implement every little component of your costume into the performance, so that you can have the most amazing time, for the people to absolutely love you, and for the judges to have the best possible impression of you.
But also about the transformation mechanics and about the functionality. I have written those in because in cosplay, you have very little setup time for props. And you also, as you mentioned, you have to make sure you utilize everything. And I have found that the most efficient way to do that is to potentially have a prop that transforms. So we actually have a video further on from WCS that we can show you. But a multi-purpose prop is a prop that you can use to communicate the plot of the story to the audience with, but also to sort of set to help you establish the setting. And the most prominent example of a transforming prop is the stage paravans screens. A lot of cosplayers, I have noticed, especially in international competitions, they have stage screens. So you have like a big paravan that you build, and it is usually you have something hanging off of it, and you can have different. You can use it as a door. You can use it as something that turns around, and you have a different setting inside. Or you can use it to hide an action, but you can also use it to accentuate said action. So this is... Oh.
You can use the paravan to change costumes as well. Like imagine if it's part of the background of the franchise that you want to make, and behind the paravan you have hidden like 2 swords. If you're from The Witcher, you come out without the swords. There is a monster that pops out on the screen, and then you switch around behind the paravan that is like a tree, and up you're with 2 swords. You're ready to fight. You can attack the paravan if the monster can be like dragged on there, if it's drawn on, so on and so forth. So many different ways to utilize it. So, yeah.
Yeah. You also have the multimedia, which, depending on the format of the competition, you can either have or not have a screen behind you. But for the competitions that have a screen on stage, it's very important to prepare media that can help you with the performance without dividing the attention of the audience. What I mean is you can use it to sort of make the setting, so to show the location. This is the easiest way. But you can also have, especially if it's from the ground up, you can have special effects. And say for fighting choreography, you can have like the comic book type fighting effects, you know, the bubbles, the lightnings, everything. You can have magic spells, so like one person sends a spell, it travels through the screen, goes to the other person, etc., etc. So there's a lot of ways to make that. It's very difficult to rehearse that if your stage at home doesn't have that and you're going to a big competition that does have it. And this is the case with WCS as well. We will show you in the Mononoke performance later. But in what I have built as a foolproof plan to time those things is to build the choreography in such a way that when you have to actually catch something that goes on screen, make sure you have some sort of action that has you facing the screen at some point, so you know where exactly to stand, and then you can go wild with it. I will show you what I mean in a moment.
Yeah, just a very popular mistake that a lot of cosplayers make, and they don't even realize it, because I used to make it too when I was a beginner. I'm thinking, oh, I want to show how character accurate I am, so I'm going to play a scene or a video of the franchise. Let's say if we have Caitlin from Arcane, and she wants to show how good she is with her gun prop on stage, she may decide to play a scene from Arcane which shows her character doing exactly that. That is a mistake, because people suddenly look at the show, they don't look at you. So what you can do instead is get your prop. You can aim it like either at the audience, obviously don't shoot anything, but you can use that effect, and in the meanwhile, like behind you on the screen, you can have a white background, and suddenly a bullet hole can appear. Then another, like you are shooting at the background, or you can turn your back just for a moment, because you never turn your back to the audience for way too long. Just for a moment to show the effect. But do not play the scene of the show or anime or anything that you're trying to cosplay from and recreating it at the same time. This divides the attention a lot, and people, like 9 times out of 10, will not look at you. They will just stare at the show. So instead, try and integrate what you're seeing on in the scene in a multimedia of your own, as Penumbra said, and you will see that it will utilize the screen so much better. The attention will be only on you, and that's when you get your time to shine. So if it's like Gojo, for example, who's like the strongest, you can edit like lightnings and anything that he has, but do not play like a battle between him and Sukuna, because especially if you're solo, you don't have a Sukuna. People will look at the fight that is very well animated compared to what you're bringing on stage.
And you also have sound design. It's very, very good to have sound effects. If you have a battle scene, you have a clash of swords, you put in a metal clink sound, you draw a sword, they're you put in a drawing sound. In cinema, when they shoot a scene, they don't really capture most of the sound effects. Like if you have, I don't know, high heels walking on a surface, the microphone doesn't always catch that. That's why you have the sound department. And the sound department, see, for example, you have a samurai. A samurai is walking on the ground. He has the wooden geta sandals, and they do the clack, clack. So you have the sound department that gets a bunch of pebbles, throws them like on a table with a microphone, and has a piece of wood, and then goes clack, clack, clack with the wood. It's the same with the stage performance. If you want to accentuate an activity, do have a sound effect. It elevates it a lot. In musical, you can absolutely bypass it. That's why I choose musicals, because I don't want to deal with the rest. Plus, if you miss your cue and they don't align, it's very awkward. But if you do it correctly, it's absolute cinema. Oh yeah, then you have the stages of performance creation. This is my favorite part, the research one. First of all, for a character, for your skit, what is the time period it is set in? When does the skit take place historically? Like, is it in modern day? Is it in the Edo period of Japan? Because then the whole etiquette of the character behavior is going to be different, because they had different customs. They had different. If you are being an aristocrat, are you like a British aristocrat? You have to be extra posh. But if you are like a modern day, I don't know, British gang member, it's going to be very different. But you also have the time setting in the sense of the story plot. If you have a major event in a story, when does your skit take place? I don't know, for instance, you have the Berserk manga. In Berserk you have the Golden Age arc in which everything is going fine, and then you have a very traumatic event, and after that everything goes downhill. Is the skit set during the peaceful time, or is it set after all the shit goes down? You also have the environmental research, so where is it set? Are you indoor? Are you in the great outdoors? In theater, you get to build a set, you get to have a pavilion, especially in cinema. But in this case, you can't do it. So how do you communicate where you are? And is it even relevant? Maybe it's not. Maybe the whole action is set in a bubble, so it's sort of outside of space and time, and we don't really care. But do we have to travel? Are we travelers? Do we have to go from point A to point B? How do we communicate that? Do we have multimedia? Do we have props? Say we're going on a journey and we have props and we have to show that there's like a big distance being walked. Then maybe you have a stage helper that has like decor and literally moves it, so like you sort of move past it. There's a lot of ways to communicate that, but it's very important to think about the time and place the skit is set in. And my personal favorite is the character study moment. So, for instance, we have posture and mannerism. So, how do they stand? How do they sit? What's a character's relation to space and movement? Like, for instance, if your character is feminine, maybe they're going to sit like this. But if your character is masculine, maybe, going to manspread. Maybe they're aristocratic and you have like the little angle of the feet. Maybe they're alphabet note.
And not just that, it's all about the body language as well. You have to be comfortable depicting what they are, because, for example, if you were to guess a character that is not in my cosplay right now, who comes to mind when I do this? Right? The Matrix, anyone? Exactly, right? When you
need somebody to play the bullet.
Yeah. Or if you try to Naruto run, Who's that? There is only one person to do that. You have to embrace what you're doing and how you're doing it. If you're more dominant, if you're more apologetic for stepping on your presentation partner's foot, if they are shy, are you a bit more like, do you want them to move? Are you a bit angry? Are you in my face? You see?
I'm sorry,
you
ma'am.
don't. See, you have to be very confident and know exactly what you have in mind to show it. Because people, if I wanted to be like, get out of my face, but like not like that. Why are you still here? Go away. See, that is not depicting exactly what I want. This is not depicting the energy of showing the audience that I am in fact, let's say, confident. I am in fact excited and happy to be here. Are you not? See? Now she's grumpy. Or are you grumpy? Are you sad? The point is the energy.
I'm very happy to be here.
She's very happy to be here. You believe her? So, and that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point on why you should embrace fully and unapologetically what you want to do on stage and do it confidently, no matter what. Even if you fail, that's the first step. Failure is always the first step to embracing it and doing it even better the next time. So don't be scared to fail. This happens. Be it in front of people or alone, it doesn't matter. Don't be scared to fail. It's not always going to be perfect, but it's the first step to getting there.
I have a favorite exercise when I am doing character research and when I'm trying to build a character, because I think a lot of the character building is sort of method acting, like a bit of a Stanislavski thing. So the best you can get out of a character is when you actually get into costume, because then you sort of start feeling yourself. But when I research, I would like to think about what the character does in their free time. Because even if it's not depicted, like sometimes you cosplay from a media where, say, you get the main character, so you get to see a lot of their day and a lot of their interactions with different people. But sometimes you don't. And then I would like to do like a mental exercise to try and get into their mind space, to try and imagine how they would interact with other people and with, in different spaces, in different social situations. For instance, the character that I'm cosplaying now is from a podcast. He is from the Magnus Archives. He has no visual material whatsoever, so I can do whatever I want. My behavior is built solely on the audio tracks I hear the character's voice. So I like to think if he has a whole day to himself, what is he going to do? If he goes to a cafe, what is he going to order? He's going to get a coffee and he's going to just stand around all day. He isn't going to budge for the whole day because he's an eldritch abomination and he is poorly masquerading as a human being. But if Zoe goes to a cafe, she isn't going to be like that.
No, what I imagine, and it's a fantastic exercise if you guys want to bring something different to the stage, different from, let's say, playing one-to-one what you see in the show or in the movie, this type of exercise of what would the character do when they're off screen, so to say. It's great because it really puts you in the mindset of what you can write and stay true to their personality. For example, Caitlin, you're right in front of me, so you're straight in my mind. For example, I imagine if Caitlin had an afternoon to herself, she would enjoy a cup of tea. She would go to the gardens that she loved so much, and she had that interaction with Jace after the funeral of her mom. So on and so forth. It's just to feel connected to the person that she lost. Would she be more talkative? Probably not. She's not one to start interactions. People start more interactions with her, and she leads from then on. And that type of exercise really puts you in the shoes and in the mind of the character that you're bringing to life. So then it would be much easier to create a scenario that is outside of Arcane but feels true enough to the character that people would believe, yes, seeing this character on stage right now without her gun, without something significant that is associated in the show, but acting in a way that you would say, this is canon. This can be canon. I have not seen it, but it feels like Caitlin. This is the magic of it. This is the magic of making all of this research to bring to the people.
We don't have time.
Yes. Okay, so we will proceed now. Let me just check the time.
We
Cause
don't have time.
yeah. Okay. Do you want to show them the...
We sort of went to the script writing, so you
Yes.
gotta make sure the audience understands it. You have the audio effects and visual effects. We sort of did that ahead of schedule. And this is our WCS performance of me and Zin from 2024. And how does it work on this one? Oh no, we're boomers. How do you play a video on this setup?
It played just fine on our laptop.
And do we have sound actually?
And there it is. There it is. Yes. Curious?
It's already, it's not moving on to the, it's fine.
I think that
We haven't even tried that.
because the Comic-Con was на площадке, да, WCS.
No, but we can't play it from the presentation.
We can't. Well, it should be like the play button should be right here. I don't
It
know.
showed a moment ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure why this is happening. Can we play? Do you want to play the Comic-Con performance instead? Yeah, it's because we don't have time.
Sure.
Okay, how do we insert this one? Okay.
Technical issues. Unfortunately, we will be showing another one.
Unfortunately, that's our performance. What do you mean, unfortunately?
Well, the one we wanted to show is the one that utilizes everything, and we
True.
can't get it to work.
Both perform
What if you just played from
here.
from
Yeah.
here?
Both performances did get awards. The one in Japan that is from WCS got second place of Brother
Yeah.
Award.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah?
oh, there
yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Why is it? Oh, okay. I think maybe we will be able to watch it. Why don't you play? Come on, you can do this.
Well, okay, we tried. Sorry.
Okay, let's play the one from Comic-Con that got us the best of show. Fingers crossed. Drum roll, maybe.
What? No.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. How is everyone feeling? What? Hot. I'm sorry to hear. The AC should be working, but your costume is very voluptuous and it does seem very cozy. I'm really short-sighted, by the way. I can recognize The Witcher in front of you, but I'm not sure what's the franchise. Nice.
Why is it
Sideways.
Sideways.
That's how it was inserted.
And it's not playing on the big screen.
All right.
Can
Well,
we turn it somehow?
I don't think we can.
If we could, it would be absolutely beautiful.
Okay, it's playing now.
And, but it's...
Yeah.
I didn't send it
I think we can just grab the.
Hang on, give it a moment.
I think we'll have to work with it sideways. It is what it is.
I suppose, there's no way to turn it on? Like, so not show it at all? Oh, I guess maybe we could still try. Okay, guys, do you want to vote? Because we do have a little bit of a technical issue. Who wants to watch it sideways and who doesn't want to watch it at all? So who's for sideways? Sideways. Oh, okay, we have a majority. Do we have a proper sound, by the way? Because I don't think it's... Oh, okay, hang on.
Няма нужда от повече, бе, Дорче.
Мистикъл, нещо си, нещо си.
It really sucks that it's sideways, but I hope you guys can see it well enough.
You have got to be kidding me. You're wanted in the whole city for a murder you didn't commit, yet you're standing here drinking like some kind of a... Oh my god. Just please help me get him up.
I ache for the touch of your lips, dear, but much more for the touch of your whips, dear. You can raise welts like nobody else as we dance to the masochism tango. At your command, before you here I stand, my heart is in my hand. Ugh, it's here that I must...
Give us a second. We'll try to fix it. Yeah, you know the stuff. Where is geometry? I can see it. The effects. Geometry. Transform. Pull up. No. Another way. Yay!
Now from the start. Yay!
My heart in...
Guys, I think it's lagging though.
We tried. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
So we're not gonna play it.
It's okay. Actually, we have to be wrapping up, right?
Yeah, because we have like 1 more minute until the end of the presentation.
Yes. Okay, speed run. Maybe. How do you?
Here it is. This one. This one now.
Okay, this one did what?
Yeah, some technical issues. It's
Yeah, I think I broke it.
you didn't. It's fine.
I broke it. Everybody hates me. Thank you.
Guys, can we please no? Don't say that, please. It happens. Technical issues happen.
Blech. Okay, speedrun. So, story structure. This you see right there, it's from The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell, and it's the monomyth, which means is the cyclical nature of a narrative. This is a hero lives in their home, then they get a call from the abyss, I don't know, they go on a mystical journey, and then they go through all sorts of hardships, and then they return back home, but now they have all the perks of having gone through said hardships. This is the plot of Star Wars, of Lord of the Rings, and basically of every good adventure movie ever. It's a very useful structure to have. You don't have to fully utilize it, but every performance has to be sort of cyclical so that you have a clear definition of a beginning, middle, and end. If you can sort of wrap it up, this makes it very satisfying. So yeah, you have to have a strong beginning in which you establish the setting and the characters that we talked about. Then we have the middle in which you have the grand culmination, your conflict escalates, and then as an end you have to have maybe like a final image for the audience, punchline, whatever. You have to make an ending that people will remember, so you don't just leave the music rolling and quietly go off stage. You have to like end with a bang. You have another component of the performance that can usually go in the middle or the end of a performance, and this is the wow factor, which includes either stunts or special abilities. Say maybe you do the splits, you make a triple salt, you have like all sorts of special acrobatics, but you can also have a costume or a prop reveal or something that transforming decor, transforming costumes. And the photos that I have uploaded are from Team Japan, the winners of WCS 2024. Team Japan is first place. This is the Naruto one. So they had these big inflatable backpacks, lanterns. And first they started casually fighting, and then they inflated those. And then when we thought it couldn't get cooler, they turned off the lights and those were glowing. So you can have that. But you can also have a costume that is very, very mechanically impressive. So this is the second place of the same year. This is Totoro, which had moving eyes, moving mouth. The way like he carried himself was like a live animal. So he had a lot of bounce. So sometimes the wow factor is the costume itself, but you have to be able to present it in a meaningful way. These are some budget-friendly wow factors from our personal stage in Bulgaria, which is like the acrobatics. The second one was the cosplayers had. Yeah, they had built like this major structure. They banned this model of prop after their performance.
Imagine like this was a huge blue fabric that they had cut different pieces in. As you can see, one of the cosplayers emerging from that.
Almost
and they
3 meters
recreated the sea, like on stage. And they recreated like drowning in sea.
You have the do's and don'ts, but we basically went through them. So don't rely on inside jokes and deep lore. Just simplify it for people who don't know what it's about. Don't replay the exact same scenes, but you have to adapt your performance. Don't repeat one action, but you should have variety. You should have a culmination. You should have contrast. Don't rehearse last minute unless you know your partner really, really, really well, and still not advisable. Don't use pyrotechnics. Don't throw stuff on stage.
Don't throw stuff at the audience, no matter what.
Yeah, you should have like a final beat for the skit. Then last but not least, how do we get over performance anxiety? Why do we have performance anxiety? It can be connected to embarrassment. You have a fear of not living up to the audience's expectations, but it's also kind of genetically hardwired into our brains because in nature, with predators, the eyes of the skull in the skull of a predator are always located in the front of the skull, whereas the herbivores have eyes on the side. So from an evolutionary standpoint, when a lot of people look at us, we feel like a lot of predators are looking at us, and we feel by proxy threatened.
I see you smirking, Witcher. I see you smirking.
Yes, yeah, especially this one. You sort of have a rush of adrenaline, and some people are genetically more predisposed to that. Some people are just kind of chill, which I am not. But how do we manage that? There's different ways. Basically, fake it till you make it. Practice makes perfect. You do it enough times, you will still feel it, probably. But you won't think about it as much. Also, if it's your first time, if you're not feeling confident enough, cosplay in a group. The more people in a group, the less people look at you directly, so you're not going to get eaten first.
You're not going to get eaten, don't worry.
Yeah. You also have breathing techniques and mental exercise. What I like to do is when I stand right next to the stage and I get like the rush of adrenaline, one of the methods is breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in for 10 seconds, breathe out for 10 seconds, and you repeat it a few times. But the other one is the same method I use when I go to sleep. Also works if you can't sleep. Also works every time for me. You start thinking, you become extra self-aware of your body. You start thinking of your toes, and it's not like it sounds, but
it's not a Quentin Tarantino movie.
Quentin Tarantino joke. Yeah, but you become just like super aware. You're like, I am relaxing my feet, I'm relaxing my calves, I'm relaxing my knees, and then you sort of gradually build it up. And by the time you reach your brain, you will either fall asleep if you're trying to do that, or it is going to be time for you to go on stage either way. So, you know.
You're gonna go relaxed.
So does it ever go away? Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. For me, it never went away. I have been doing this for 14 years. It never went away. Each time I go on stage, my legs start shaking. But now I can sort of manage it because I imagine that the audience is more embarrassed than me.
And here I thought you would say something like, because a friend is here. I'm kidding. But guys, yeah, when it comes to the presentation and what we wanted to show about the performance, if you're okay with it, I would still like to show them just for the example. I'm sure that they would appreciate it.
But it's still buffering.
We could try and restart it. If you guys are patient to give us like 1 more minute, I would
give it a
love to
try,
see it.
and if it doesn't load in the next 15 seconds, they're free to leave.
No, you're held at gunpoint. You're not going anywhere.
We are out of time, and there's the next lectures.
Okay. Well, in that case, because the performance is rather short, do we have the time or do we not? Just to be... No.
Not really, no.
Okay, in that case, guys, thank you so much for being here with us. It was a pleasure to have you. I really hope that we shared some useful information that you would be able to implement in the future. And yeah, thank you.